Ruby Wax, we took your blood, and the people at GlycanAge tested it, and we are now joined by Dr. Nicola Conlon to reveal your biological age.
It'll be 70.
Well, we'll never know your chronological age.
Until you open the cake tin.
Your biological age. It's...
If I have mental illness, is that a good number?
This is What's My Age Again, the podcast where we test your biological age against the number on your driving license. Do you hold a valid UK driving license, Ruby Wax?
I don't know.
Okay. Our guest today has built a career on asking other people the hardest questions. She has grilled presidents, pop stars, and power players. But behind the comedy and confrontation was something much quieter, a lifelong battle with depression. Ruby Wax has spoken openly about hospitalization, relapse, medication, mindfulness, and the mechanics of the mind. Plus, she has studied neuroscience at Oxford. She meditates every day. She spent decades trying to understand what's happening inside her own brilliant head. But today, we are not just talking about the mind. We're asking a very different question. What has all of that, the stress, the fame, the fear, the work, the recovery, done to her body? This is What's My Age Again. And today, we're finding out how old Ruby Wax really is. Dun, dun, dun.
You'll never know. You can pull my teeth out. I will never say.
Well, you've given us your actual blood, so we can find out.
No, but if it's really old, I'm gone.
Fine.
Okay, because I don't want to hear that.
Okay.
My mother also used to say she was really old, and she took her to the doctor, and he said, Mrs. Wax, how old are you? And she was losing her mind, so she was smoking a pen because she forgot, that she smoked.
Right.
So she went, I may be off by a few years, 53. And he went, your mother's not a valid historian. So she went straight to a home.
Oh, no.
And they sprinkled Prozac in her food, and she became a delight.
What's the address of this home?
It's in Florida.
I'd love to visit.
Yeah. Well, we're going there.
I think it's a shame, actually, that your mother, my mother, although my mother's like healing, they're from a generation where getting older was so shameful for women, and they would reject it.
Well, especially when my mother was a beauty, and they can't take the aging. When the men aren't looking at them anymore, they become insane.
Yeah.
Because they want the attention.
Well, it must be very isolating to be the subject of the male gaze during such a toxic time, that like a world of white vans and objectification, and then all of a sudden you feel invisible.
I know that. Thank you for pushing that button.
Not you.
No, I am invisible.
Can I tell you, Ruby
No,
Wax?
don't tell me anything. Look he's not even looking at me, and he's a cameraman.
We'll move him to sound.
Okay.
You've been demoted. Well, they didn't even film podcasts for a number of years. And now we've got lights, camera, a set, everything. When you walked in the room, you do have a very strong vibrational star energy.
No, you say that to all the girls.
I don't.
Oh, well, there you go. What is it about me?
You really do. Well, your skin is glowing.
Oh, well, because
moisturized.
What
do you moisturize with, please?
Oh, it's very expensive. Some makeup artist told me about it, and I think it uses baby stem cells.
Probably.
I have to wait by the birth rooms and then just whip out the placenta and wipe it on.
This is it. I've had a bunch of kids recently.
And What, like a litter?
Yes, genuinely that. And I feel that I am in it for the stem cells, the cord blood, the vampire facials. It's like a pyramid scheme.
Have you used them for a firmer skin?
I have ingested 2 placentas.
No.
Out of 4.
Are you kidding me?
No.
What do they taste like?
Pills.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? They
little
freeze
chunks
dry
or the full Monty down the throat?
Just like a fistful of pills.
A fistful of placenta.
Freeze-dried placenta.
Nice.
What is the craziest beauty hack that you have done or have heard about and would be interested in doing?
Oh, the beauty hack. Well, I've had some surgery.
Me too.
Don't tell. What did you have done?
2 months ago, I had a facelift.
No.
Yes. I also had upper blephs. And
the full facelift?
Full facelift.
Who was the doctor?
He was, I spoke.
He's good.
Thank you. You could see like there, if you looked back here, you'd see
I mean, if I cut the ears, you would fall forward like an accordion.
Yeah. Younger women are having facelifts now.
Yeah.
It used to be like a 50s, 60s game. Now it's a 30s, 40s game. I think a lot of Hollywood actresses who are younger than I am.
When I interviewed people, before my ass even hit the sofa, I'd say, who did it?
Yeah.
So I had a huge list of names.
Okay.
Yeah. And went to the mall. They said, do it young.
Yep.
Right. So you're ready for it.
And you have bone density, so it's easier to hang the skin.
Yeah,
on
they've told me
something.
now it wouldn't really. I want another one, but I didn't have the face.
No.
I had the neck, which now wears a turtleneck.
Well, you don't need the face.
Yeah, no, the neck has to go. Anyway, let's stop talking shallow. Let's get deep.
Okay. Before we begin, actually, my makeup artist, Fiona, who's largely responsible for my face, she's been to so many of your shows.
Oh.
She'll be going to your new tour soon. She's brought an old book, and I opened it. She wanted you to sign it. I opened it. I think it's been stolen from the library.
Thank you.
That's the kind of girl she is.
That's a little less money than I was expecting.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'll get her to slip you some cash.
You know what? I'm going to get somebody else to sign it since she didn't buy it.
Okay.
You sign it. All right, love.
All right.
All right, here, love.
I'll sign it, Ruby Wax.
And then you sign it. Tell her to buy the fucking book next time.
I'm so excited for the tour. Absolutely Famous.
All right.
You first came into like my periphery, front and center, doing all of these. Thank you. I came to this country late. And when I came, you were doing, I'm going to sign Ruby Wax now.
Okay.
I think I can do like multiple things at once, but I can't. Ruby Wax XX.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fiona. Back to the library she goes.
There we go.
Back on the shelf.
No, it's stolen. That book is from 2014.
Really?
The library fees, if you could get a piece of the library late fees, through the roof. So when I came to this country, I was not here for Girls on Top. So I got to know you as a documentarian, as an interviewer, and you've interviewed obviously some of the biggest players in the world.
Yeah.
Madonna, Donald Trump, O.J. Simpson, and more.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of pressure to be thrust into situations like that?
Well, I'd already been thrust into documentaries, which is where I wanted to stay. Mm-hmm. But they pushed me out and pushed in Louis Theroux. But I forgive him. He interviewed me, and he was a nice person.
He's a nice guy.
But he was my nemesis for 12 years. The word "le" wouldn't even be allowed in my house. But I used to do, in Appalachia, in a fundamentalist church, they threw copperheads at each other, snakes, to show that God loved them. And if God didn't love you, he'd either kill you, the snakes would kill you, or there'd be fingers missing. So and they'd sing bluegrass, and it was magnificent. So I'd film weird stuff in America. And that was my favorite. And then they said, would you do celebrities? And I said, oh, no. But I said for 1 year, and then 1 year went into 10. And then I was squeezed out. And all celebrities, they look the same when you flip them over. Eventually, I got bored, except for Carrie Fisher, who became my friend.
Oh, yeah.
She became my friend.
You seem like kindred spirits, the two of you.
Well, I played her ashtray because she's so funny that I just lob her a line, and then she'd vomit thousands of them back.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
What do you think it was about Louis Theroux in that space that was like safer, more palatable?
I think I played a character, which my guest did. In the beginning, I was trying to get who they were under the persona. That was my remit. And I would spend a week with them sometimes just digging. And in a half an hour, it looked like I was really pushy. But you watched, a relationship unfold, and eventually they trust you.
Yeah.
And usually I found gold. Some people were assholes, but Mr. Trump was not the most palatable thing I've ever met. But and Bill Cosby tried to kill me. On opening, he'd grab me around the neck and drag me across the room. All these people I could have told you would eventually be criminals.
Yeah.
I wanted to find the person, the real person. And then I realized I created a persona too. But I was stuck in it. I couldn't stop talking like this. And so I think people got really sick of it because I had this shit-eating grin on my face the whole time. So Louis played Louis. And had I done that and was a man, I'd still be on TV. Not that I care.
I wonder if women do that more than men do, the put on the telephone voice. Because when I started stand-up, I did that as well. I do this little laugh, me like, da-na-na-na-na-na.
Yeah.
And it's like what you do to
be cutesy
and be in those spaces ultimately ends up putting people off.
Ultimately, yeah.
I think people are now so attracted to authenticity.
Yeah, I agree with you.
which you have so much of.
Well, now I do. I train myself because this little creature at this age would be revolting. You know what I mean? Those women that hold it, like even in their late 50s, and they're still smiling, and it doesn't, the lines look really awful because it doesn't reflect who they are.
Everyone in Malibu?
Yeah, really smiley.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had to stop smiling. And when I started my career, Alan Rickman was my mentor, and he said, "Get that stupid grin off your face." I go, "I'm not, Alan." He said, "You look desperate." And I thought I did. And he said, "You have, those eyes that go, love me, that a lot of comics have."
Yeah.
And so finally, 35 years later, I've stopped smiling.
Good.
Yeah.
There's something just so attractive about authenticity. And I think that's why people are coming to see your shows and they're reading your books and they want to know all about like what got you to this place, especially having been through so much. So we'll get back to the celebrity interviews later. But I think a lot of us who love you, we know about the depression and we know about the very traumatic childhood. What impact do you think that's going to have on your biological age today?
I think it'll make me very old.
Yeah.
I think the word 80 is going to come out of somebody's mouth. My sphincter is going to shut and never open again. Never.
Do you believe in ancestral trauma?
Oh, yeah. I mean, epigenetics. I still hear the screams of my parents when they were children. And so I can't watch films about Germany.
No.
Because they pass that fear to me. Though I love German people, and I speak German first before English. But they did pass it. They never mentioned it until I did Who Do You Think You Are? And then they said, your mother's mother was insane. Her mother was insane. Insanity went all the way back. And I was interested in mental illness since I was 8. I stole a book from my Evanston High School library when I was about 13. So imagine how much I owe. So I do believe that the parents pass the trauma.
Absolutely. And the Jewish experience right now is just absolutely full of trauma. Your parents escaped the Nazis.
Yeah.
And when you say you hear the screams, you mean you can actually hear it?
Well, in my dreams, I can.
God.
They never told me that they were even in Germany. So I suspected it because my mother spoke like this.
Yeah.
I thought, what kind of a voice, what is it? What am I looking for? The word impediment.
Yeah.
What kind of thing is it? But then I realized it was Austrian. They never mentioned anything. My dad said he was an aerobics teacher. Well, he was in jail and he would scream at people to get up and, hide.
Yeah.
So that wasn't aerobics. Then when they got there, they showed me the jail where he was in. They lied about everything. But there was insanity 5 generations back.
Do you think that these women, because I remember your episode of Who Do You Think You Are? And it was a formidable episode. Do you think they were just really clever and that was misconstrued and labeled as insanity? Or do you think they were just too clever for where they were?
No, I think they were insane.
Okay.
Yeah, and they didn't call it that. They called it agitation at the time. And they did things like put women in cold water. And it's really ironic. I have a cold water bath.
Yeah.
So there you go. Well, it's been passed to me.
There's loads of ancestral trauma, but cold water swimming is good for biological age. So hopefully.
Supposedly, but I still get depression.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I haven't had it for a while.
I know.
And when you're not sick, you're not sick. Like people go, how could you have depression? That's why there's a stigma. Because I'm me now. And then when me leaves and is replaced by Satan, then you go, well, this is what it looks like.
Yeah. Your childhood was really difficult. I read about you being watched all the time, not let out. You still prefer small rooms where you can see the door?
Yeah. If I can see the door, I'm okay. But they locked me in the house. I didn't realize that. And that's what I put in my last show, is because I get a shrink and we get down to it as to what the problem was. And I realized I never saw night outside my house. I'd see it through the glass window where they stuffed me and my dog. So we'd see life outside the window. But then I realized I didn't see the dark in person.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't lock me with a key the way, you read about it, but they'd go, where are you going? This is insane. Who leaves the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would never left the house. They let me go to school and I had a couple friends, but other people were forbidden.
Yeah. And then at what age did you leave the house?
I left when I hitchhiked to Austria, back to Austria and Europe when I was about 18. sold like a little bit of marijuana.
Yeah.
So I'd get some money. And Girl Scout cookies. It was a little bit of a meshing area.
Mix the two.
Yeah, mix the two.
Got a great business.
And then I got enough money to go to Europe.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be busted as soon as I leave this place. First, I hitchhiked through Europe.
Yes.
Jump cut in, tried to get into 11 drama schools. Nobody took me. And I did a fabulous interview audition piece when I got a wimple that I made out of cardboard, right? Try walking through a doorway with that sucker on your head. Your neck gets ripped. So I'd get on stage, and I knew Juliet was upset, but I wanted to get in the role, so I'd stand on stage going, my dog is dead. My dog is dead. My dog is dead. And that would start the tears. But I'd say it out loud.
Oh.
So they thought, does Juliet have a dog?
Yeah.
And I didn't get in any of them.
No. So
No.
you knew from a very young age that you
I
wanted to
couldn't
be.
act.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
I couldn't act. I even got in the Royal Shakespeare Company, and they used to throw little spitballs, little notes at me saying, find another career.
They did not.
Yeah, because I was so bad. But I knew how to audition. I mean, I was good at, when I left drama school, finally I went in Glasgow where nobody wanted to go. And I left, but I could play crazy people like nobody's business. Yeah.
And so you always wanted to perform.
I did want to be an actress, but I was an ugly kid. I know that's hard to believe. But, and I didn't have a lot of talent. But then Rickman saw me and said, you should write the way you speak. And he said, right. And so I did. And he directed it all.
That is so true too. Even today, for a lot of actors, you're just at the mercy of someone else's script. You're just waiting to be chosen or not chosen. But if you really get behind your own vehicle and start writing
you
and
do
creating.
it, and your lines are magnificent.
That's so nice.
And
of
I
you
don't
to
say that to any other woman.
Oh.
No one gets away with it, except for Jennifer Saunders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
You and Jennifer.
Well.
And Tina Fey.
Tina Fey is so brilliant.
That's so, those lines.
You must have met absolutely every famous person that any of us admire. You're friends with Carrie Fisher, or you were.
Yeah.
God rest her soul. Tina Fey, have you met Tina Fey?
No, I never did. No.
Who have you not interviewed that you would love to either interview or just sit down with?
You couldn't interview the way I did because I got a week with them. So I'm not Graham. I can't do 10 minutes.
So you don't think you could do just a 10-minute quick interview?
No, I couldn't, because you really have to be an authentic. You'd have to get the jokes out of them because that's what people are expecting. Whereas I started off jokey. That's how I got the 10 minutes into sometimes 10 days, because you got to tap dance. You can't just,
The energy that it would take to do that.
But I only did it once. You know what I mean? It would be a month apart. So I wasn't going from one to the next.
Yeah.
Because by the time we got the next guest, it was a little bit later. So then I'd keep him up all night. And I did OJ, and I kept him up for 17 hours. And by the end, he was so nuts that he tried to stab me with a banana.
That was a classic
That's
scene.
a good show.
How did you keep him up for 17 hours?
Well, I just, if you keep them talking, they want to have the last line. And if you're having the last line, they'll compete with you. He wanted to finish it.
Were you ever fearful in his company?
No, because I had a camera crew, and they would die first.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? The sound guy would go first.
Yeah. It was so brave. And a producer actually used that series of interviews as an example. I was interviewing some rich people for a show called How Do You Get So Rich? So they weren't famous. They were people who maybe wanted to be famous, couldn't buy fame. It was a totally different vibe. But everyone would always say, look at Ruby Wax. Look what she was able to do. Look at how she was able to connect with people and disarm people. Do you think that is like a survival mechanism?
Well, I studied psychology before, later on in life.
Yeah.
And I wanted to study neuroscience, but you couldn't cut into somebody's head who is alive. So I didn't want to look at a dead person.
Fine.
So I waited till you could look in a brain of somebody alive. So I did study psychology, and I was interested. Again, it was like a Rubik's Cube that you would put together. So it was more like a thesis on fame, how it affected them, rather than I give a shit about your next film.
Did you walk away from those interviews like really pleasantly surprised about anyone?
Yeah, Sharon Stone, who, told me she's cool. And Bette Midler and Goldie Hawn, really smart cookies and Pamela Anderson, very smart. She knew exactly what she was doing. But she had this thing on her, this rocket ship. And I think use it. But she was ready for old age at that point.
She over
And
it.
look at her. Now she's in her element.
She has embraced it in a nice way.
She has embraced it.
Are you tired of being asked about the more explosive interviews where the subjects have turned out to be really controversial figures like Bill Cosby and like Donald Trump? Are you tired of those clips resurfacing and you being dragged into conversations like that? Or would you talk about them a bit more today?
Well, I'm going on tour with my show.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about them then.
Did you have to pull back any of the classic clips? Because I know the show is some of your most iconic interviews and you're on stage and discussing like all these stories and referencing the clips with Clive.
We let them cut.
Yeah.
So when I did Sarah Ferguson, we said, you can cut anything. She said nothing. Even though she had like yellow Post-its on her underpants drawer and, told her what was in there because she couldn't open a drawer. So I said, cut what you want because you can't have a long career if you screw them.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody could cut anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they chose not to.
We did cut out stuff that they didn't want said.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll have to work on it the next 3 weeks. I'm going to watch some of my shows.
But the stuff that is included is incredibly revealing. Do you think that a lot of these celebrities are just not self-aware?
They aren't after a week. So they start off doing their normal, patter like Jim Carrey had done so many junket things in the day. And then I just got on my hands and knees and say, my children will not eat if you're not funny. And so he turned it on it was like a faucet. Did you see it? When he said, I can do this trick, pull the tablecloth out with all this china at the Dorchester.
Yeah.
I can do that. I knew he couldn't.
Yeah.
But I said, go ahead. And it ended up on the ceiling, 10,000 pounds worth of damage. But it was so worth it.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
There's something about Jim Carrey, because I think that having lived an incredible life, met so many people, and now you've gone on to study this mindfulness and neuroscience, like you must really know about people. Like you must be able to get them almost straight away. There's something about Jim Carrey that I don't get. Is he just like a beautiful genius, or is there something?
You get him now. He's turned to mindful. He's probably straight.
Yeah.
Because you burn out at a certain point. And I think he learned, he does do meditation. I think he does the David Lynch kind of meditation, which I don't do. But I think, at a certain point, you can't act like that anymore. Mm-hmm. And you either have a nervous breakdown or you get into something. Like Goldie Hawn created Mind Up, which teaches meditation in schools.
Yeah.
So if they have something like that, they're grounded. Otherwise, you could flip out because nothing's worse than not being in the eye of the beholder anymore.
Yeah. Is it important to you to
Fame
be well-liked?
So it's like heroin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's from childhood?
No, it's from being famous.
Yeah, but did it start in childhood that you had this appetite for look at me,
ugly,
see me?
Yeah, and my parents said I was a loser all the time going, boy, are you a sad sack. If I hear that expression, I will seriously have a psychotic breakdown, so don't say it.
I would not.
But he always said that over and over, that I was an idiot and that my mother thought something happened during the war that affected my brain. So they thought I was literally mentally ill. And they were right. God bless him.
You said that Donald Trump reminded you of your dad?
Oh, he did. He had the hatred and he had the evil eye, the way my dad would look at me, dismissing. And so I became the idiot. I became what he looked at. And so I started asking stupid questions about did he like to date women? I asked dumbass questions, which I don't blame him, and started laughing when he told me he wanted to be the next president of the United States. I laughed in his face thinking this guy's hilarious. Mm-hmm. And then he said, that's it, I've had enough. He said, but you're angry with a smile. And I thought he nailed me.
Angry with a smile.
He has gutter instincts.
What does that mean to you, angry with a smile?
I was angry. But with that stupid grin, but he could feel the rage. Yeah.
Angry just generally or about how the interview was going?
How the interview was going. And in general. I was sitting on a lot. I was addicted to rage. Mm-hmm. I'm over it now.
Because you
get the backwash. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It feels so good to throw out adrenaline, and just nail. I do it with traffic wardens.
Great.
Yeah, because they've already reported me, so what the hell? But I know how to deal with them now.
The traffic wardens have reported you for?
like traffic, things.
Assault?
No. Yeah, they could have, because I just give them hell. But now when I get stopped, I put my hands in my crotch area and I say any 3 letters. Like I'll go, I have to get to the hospital because I've just had a BLT. Any 3 letters. And they go, keep driving, keep going, because they don't want to know what's coming out.
Fine.
BBC I've had. Just put your hands by the vaginal area and they won't stop you. They want you out of there. They don't want to know.
What's coming out after a BBC BLT? Yeah. The canteen is grim. You've got to get to the hospital full speed. And so you'll just give them hell. You won't accept admonishment.
I don't do it anymore. I'm adorable now to them.
At what age, or how long ago rather, because we don't know your age.
No.
It's mystical. It's magical. How long ago did you transition from being rage-filled to adorable? And was it a conscious choice?
Yeah, it was a conscious choice because the stress was mounting. That'll probably be my age is 90. Because the thing about adrenaline is you get the backwash the next day. It's like you've been drinking.
Yeah.
And then you call your friends and go, you know what that fucker did? So that you can feel it again and again. Because you'll go back to the memory. And I always say, these things aren't good for you. But the things that are good for you, nobody gets addicted to kale,
Yeah.
So the rage was delicious. So then I thought, that's got to stop. So that's not the only reason I studied meditation, is that I really checked out I became a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school and you studied all of them, all of the approaches.
Mm-hmm.
And then I studied mindfulness. And A, you do it, it's for free. And B, you're your own therapist.
Yeah.
That you're doing what a therapist does, except in your mind. And I studied the neuroscience of it, and it had the most empirical evidence that it was better than almost at the same level as medication.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I revere.
Do they, the medication?
I bow down to the feet of lamotrigine. Yeah.
Can we talk about supplements, medication, anything that you're on now that might impact your biological age?
Oh, I'm sure these antidepressants aren't good for me.
Great.
But I take a lot of medication, and I have done for 30 years.
Mm-hmm. And what about HRT?
Yeah, I'm on that too.
That's great. I've heard great things about that.
Yeah. Well, I put testosterone on, and I have a beard on my stomach.
Lovely.
It's great. So, I'm on all that. And because I want to keep my bones supple.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's about it. But there's a lot of medication involved. I crunch when I walk.
When you studied neuroscience, do they talk about mental health and stress and trauma and the impact of that on your body at a cellular level? Like, do they believe in a connection?
Oh, yeah, totally. Because the release of cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that mindfulness does, the way I was taught, and there's even, everybody guesses what it is. It's like a masseuse that just rubs some lotion on you. There's a method to it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a method to doing meditation, which I teach.
Yeah.
What goes on in your brain and the real exercise. You don't just listen to ting-ting music and sit on, some gluten-free cushion. You can do it walking, moving, singing, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a way you're doing an exercise in your brain, just the way you do when you're at the gym and you get a six-pack. So there's still exercises that you're doing, and it ain't Sudoku. So with these exercises, certain areas get buffed up that are in charge of lowering the cortisol, so you can self-regulate. So before I give somebody hell, I can pull it down. Not every time, because if you're mugged, you better get out, the club and beat them to death. But, if a traffic warden, I can pull it down. So I can decide what stresses me out and what doesn't. Yeah. And that's not bully. I wasn't born like that.
No.
Or you can, you have a few seconds to decide, how am I going to express this? And in those seconds, they're crucial. And you break the habit, because the neurons start to unwire when you do mindfulness, and they can rewire in a much more flexible way.
Your brain is still plastic
it's
at
totally
any age?
Plastic at any age. I mean, if you get a disease, there's nothing to be done. Well, there still is, but it's like a movable feast. It's 86 billion neurons are moving around in how you think, how you act, and how you feel. Yeah. And if you keep repeating the same pattern over and over again, like I see I there's my trigger. They hardwire, and then you're stuck in that behavior.
I can see why it is not as deeply explored, I think, in Western culture. Like maybe other cultures do this more naturally than we do. I know you were recently teaching this in Costa Rica. Like there are places in the world.
And here in the UK, I teach it.
Yeah. But do you think we are younger with this sort of
I think
science?
mindfulness has really taken off in the last 70 years. I mean, it's going the way of yoga.
Good.
But not... Yoga still can be told by somebody who's crap. So can mindfulness.
Okay.
And it's an unfortunate word. It's more like the mind gym or something. It's exercising specific areas, and it's neuroplasticity that you can enhance.
Yeah.
But the word mindfulness is too gushy.
Unless we accept it as normal.
Or call it meditation or something. But then I'm not a Buddhist, because certain people in the 60s brought it over and turned it Western instead of Eastern. But then so did Jung. He used the East.
And did all of this come about after you had a relapse in your mental health?
I was in the hospital.
Yeah.
I was in an institution, and Ed got me and took me to a mindfulness class. I was still in my pajamas. And so they started to teach it, and I said, this is really interesting, but I want to know what happens in the brain. And then he'd bring me back to the institution. Everybody clap, say how brave it was that I left with my lipstick on my forehead. And then Ed, so I said, I want to know the neuroscience. And so I hunted down the guy who invented it. He did it for emotions.
Yeah.
How to do mindfulness for depression and anxiety. And I found him at Oxford. And I said, tell me how to do this. What happens in the brain? Because I got no time, And if I did, I'd learn salsa. I don't have time for sitting around. And he said, you'd have to get into Oxford. And if somebody does that to me, like you have to get in the RSC, I'm like a Rottweiler.
Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody was as surprised as that man. Yeah.
Like Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
But brunette.
And
like, what? Like
not
it's hard?
Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got into Oxford. What? Like it's hard?
No, but I failed in Busy Beaver Nursery School. So revenge.
Well, you had a lot going on back then.
Yeah. Like trying to pee in a toilet.
I think it's an incredible level of self-awareness. And this is, again, what I've always loved about your authenticity and your disclosure and how honest you are. Especially in this country, it's very brave to be honest, because a lot of people are not. But to know yourself that well, because all of this meditation and mindfulness that you talk about, it does sound like a lot of work. And there are more people than there were, but I think a lot of people would shy away from being responsible for actually doing the work.
Yeah, I mean, you learn everything by rote, from standing up to any sport. So you've got to do maybe 2 minutes a day in the beginning, but you can do it anywhere. Like if you're waiting for a bus, you can do it. Or there's always 2 minutes when you're not doing anything important, which I know is hard to believe. But the point is, if you look at what happens in the brain, I don't know if you have a scanner at home, but that to me is so, why go lie down and get up, because you're going to see a six-pack. So the same thing. Yeah. You watch the brain change slowly, but eventually I can hold focus longer than most people.
How long would you say it took before you started to see?
Well, it's like getting a muscle. It's like how many sit-ups or how many bicep curls you have to do before something shows up. So they say in the first 8 weeks, it already starts you feel it. You can feel it. You can pull down that rage.
I mean, a lot of me is plastic. I don't know if my brain is that plastic.
Your brain is plastic. Even after this conversation, it's changed. It changes every second. I mean, you might have a feeling about me or whatever, and then it's changed. You're rejudging and recalibrating the whole time.
It's just getting stronger, my love for you.
And me for you.
So do they talk about the vagus nerve at all?
Yeah.
I'm really interested in the vagus nerve.
Well, it wasn't the hot topic when I went to school.
Okay.
It is the hot topic now. But we talked about the sympathetic and, parasympathetic system.
Yeah.
And the mindfulness does reduce, your heartbeat, reduces high blood pressure. And cortisol isn't in your brain. It signals all the organs in your body, and it can take them out like a pinball machine. And then you squirt that cortisol, and then you're open season for, if people think mental is imagined. Physically, you open for certain cancers, diabetes too, probably lupus, infertility, obesity, premature aging. All of that is from stress.
Do you think your family, because I think you can hold multiple truths at once. I think you're obviously weirdly, incredibly, brilliantly intelligent, and all of the women in your family would have been the same. They probably also had mental illness, so juggling those two things. Do you think that maybe you have a familial cortisol response that is just wired differently? Like you get more of this stress hormone than other people? Is that a possibility?
Well, I think the mental illness, if you don't have the genes, you're not going to get depression.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have the genes, you still might not get the depression.
Yeah.
But if you have the genes and you have experiences as a child, so I won I got bingo.
Right.
So I was born with that proclivity.
Okay.
But the reason I study mindfulness, and it's not a surefire, and it's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. We're all different fingerprints. If it's not for you, walk away. Mm-hmm. Go do Tai Chi or something, if you care. But if you don't care, then go on with the stress.
I've spoken to some comedians who have neuroplasty of like different, varying categories. And a lot of them worry that if they get well from whatever, then they won't be funny anymore. Do you ever worry about that?
Well, when I used to dry, I couldn't think what was next and I'd feel my heartbeat go up. The audience would turn on me like animals. Like they don't want to see you fuck up. Mm-hmm. And you know how they get, it's like we're at the watering hole and there's one of them that's sick.
Yeah.
One of the animals, they'll turn around and eat it. Mm-hmm. So that's the feeling when they do. But because I practice mindfulness, I'll send focus to something in my body, inside, because the minute you go internally or a sense, the cortisol stops. So you're tricking your brain. Yeah. And then I can feel them lighten up and I see the whites of their eyes. So it makes me clearer. Rather than the neurosis and the line reading will always be the same. Like Jennifer Saunders isn't crazy at all. No. And she's a genius. Cool. So I don't think you need the madness.
All right.
I think for painting or something, it might be helpful to be bipolar.
Yeah.
Because you're just squirting it all over the place. But I think for comedy or for writing, it could get in the way. It does. If I have depression, you can't even say the word and.
No.
Yeah.
Do you think that you would return to doing docuseries and celebrity interviews?
No, because they wouldn't let me do it the way I did it. Because there'd be a PR person saying, you're done now. And in the old days, they'd say, fuck off. I want to be with her.
Where are those PR people from then? Like they
were fired.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And we paid off some people. Like for Pamela, we had to pay $50,000 to the PR person. And then we got to Pamela because we had
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you ever worried about Donald Trump specifically?
You mean he's going to care about me?
Yeah, like suing you, those clips getting big, anything like that?
I don't think he gives a shit. No. I might not get into America, but otherwise, I'm okay.
And I'm so curious about the Bill Cosby one. I didn't actually see that one. Did they include it when he strangled you?
Yeah, well, he comes over and he puts his elbow around my neck and drags me across the room and then makes me kneel on the floor and call him Dr. Cosby and keeps using an imaginary phone and saying, yeah, I want her out of here. She's not interesting. And then hangs up and made me call him Dr. Cosby.
And you were with
and
him?
Gave me tests. I had sweat running down my face. When you're flopping.
Yeah.
And had to keep a shit-eating grin. Now, if that's not stress, nothing is.
And you were with him for how many days?
Oh, him? A half an hour.
Oh.
Because he wanted me out of there.
And Donald Trump kicked you off the private plane?
Yeah, the private plane. And then I found him again. And Roger Stone said, she's funny. And then he sort of he liked me.
So for better or worse, like funny opened a lot of doors for you.
Funny opens doors. You know that.
Yeah. I don't think
Not for men who you're interested in. They feel threatened.
Yeah.
Yeah. You couldn't be funny for sex.
Lucky for you.
And what about you?
Otherwise, Donald Trump and Bill Cosby would have
impregnated me.
All over you.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you like Madonna?
No.
Okay. You do mindfulness 45 minutes every day.
No, maybe a half an hour. But you can do 2-minute segments, like if I'm in the back of a car.
Yeah.
Nothing else is happening. So you do the exercise.
Well, I feel like I'm going to book one of your retreats. I'm going to go to rubywax.net to find out when they are.
Right.
Hopefully the far away ones like Costa Rica or maybe just the UK.
They're in the UK.
So I can be available to my family.
Okay.
What would a 2-minute meditation look like?
Well, I'd have to explain what, it looks like nothing. But then, what is an, if I had a weight and I did this, you'd just think I'm wanking, It doesn't look,
not think that.
No, but you'd know that I was lifting a weight.
I've been wanking wrong.
Yeah, that's how you do it with an elephant.
Just a few more hours, babe. I've never masturbated someone to completion, ever.
Really?
Never. And I don't know what they were doing.
What did you finish? Stop halfway?
Like I would use my mouth
Right.
because what? I can't do it.
I can't either.
Really?
They always go, that's wrong. I don't know what you're supposed to do. I've never done it right.
We have so much in common.
I know.
And is this...
I don't know what you're supposed to do. And they always get angry.
They get angry.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to get angry anymore.
Yeah, well, they get angry. They did with me.
God.
And I look, what am I doing wrong? Also, it's tiring.
And pointless.
When
you know there are quicker ways.
I had a gay boyfriend, and believe me, I have more muscle in my right arm.
I think a gay boyfriend would be really, really chuffed to have you.
I did have one for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I found magazines under our mattress.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm finding out on my tours that they're all gay.
Really?
Yes. A lot of straight presenting husbands are having gay sex.
Wow.
And they don't think it's gay somehow.
What about women?
Women, no. Women, smart women choose to die alone. And I hope I'm lucky enough to experience that one day. Are you in a romantic relationship now?
With my husband?
Yeah.
No. There's some things that don't need an answer.
Okay. I love your business acumen. You're not giving anything away for free. But for our listeners, they want to come see your show, Absolutely Famous. They want to come on your retreats. What is like one little takeaway that they could have to be more connected to their mindfulness today?
Well, top tips has never been my thing.
Yeah.
Just smile and the world will smile with. It doesn't work like that. It's like, how do I get, whatever physically? There's no top. Go to the gym if you want to have a very subtle mind and that you can self-regulate. Pull down the cortisol, be more get insight, be more compassionate. You have to do this exercise. But if you don't want to, then anytime you're in your body, but you're aware of you're in your body, like you're swimming, go in instead of thinking about when you're going to have your next cigarette, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you go in and focus what it feels like, introception, once you're in your body, the gabbling brain slows down.
Okay.
You can't be focused in there and have that gabbling brain. It's one or the other. But, feel your ass on the chair, feel your feet on the ground, get worry beads, whatever. The minute you're connected to a sense, you're present because you can't feel something tomorrow or last week. It's right then.
Where in your body do you think you were holding most of your trauma?
I don't know if I believe that, the cells, the trillions of cells are holding trauma, but it sure holds stress.
Yeah.
And trauma is a different thing. It's where the right brain doesn't know what the left, you know what I mean? You froze in time.
This is getting too Oxford for me.
Okay, sorry.
I'm just going to have to go on the retreat.
Go on the retreat.
I love you. Does connection excite or exhaust you?
In what sense?
Like you're a social butterfly.
Oh, yeah, I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I'm nicest to people I don't, this isn't you. No. But I'm nice to people. It's called fawning.
Yes.
Yeah. And it means the people you really dislike, you're the most, you ask them on holiday and over for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do that?
I do that when I'm drunk.
Right.
I'm just really nice to everyone that I don't. Yeah. Okay. Do you think your biological age is going to be higher or lower?
Higher, but I won't tell you what age I am.
No,
I can't because I'll have a meltdown.
Okay. It's going to be higher than no matter what.
Yeah.
You've had obviously obstacles in your life and then you have battled. Do you like the word battle?
It's
mental
okay.
health? Some
but
people don't like
nobody,
it.
No, I didn't battle
You have
anything.
navigated mental health.
Yeah. I had a car accident with mental health.
You had a car accident with mental health, and you've come out the other side.
No, not necessarily. Call me when I'm depressed again.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got a new tour, Ruby Wax, absolutely famous, with loads of your most incredible celebrity interview clips and discussions on stage with Clive Tullow.
Yeah.
Tell me about Clive.
Clive was my producer for 25 years. And he's hilarious. He's funnier than I am. But
Not
I'm going to have to
possible.
get a little set of clippers and just snap his penis if he's too funny.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I will get a ticket just to see that. And I think now we can take all of what we've learned and ask our good friend, resident scientist, Dr. Nicola Conlon, to come join us as we interpret the impact it's had on your body.
I feel like I'm winning an award or, yeah.
Well, it's under there as well.
My age?
Yeah. Yeah. Ruby Wax, we took your blood, and the people at GlycanAge tested it, and we are now joined by Dr. Nicola Conlon to reveal your biological age. Nicola has dedicated her career to human longevity, and she has over a decade of research in cellular aging, so there's no one better to interpret these results. Ruby Wax, we will never know.
It'll be 70.
Well, we'll never know your chronological age.
Until you open the cake tin.
Your biological age. It's 60. Very good.
No, I'm not that happy.
No?
Well, I'm 17 years younger than you.
Yes.
That makes me feel good.
You're 17 years younger than me.
Yeah.
That is great. Nicola, with that much to overcome in one's life.
If I have mental illness, is that a good number?
Yeah. Yeah. So actually,
because I'm 35.
Well, when we're looking at the biological age, we're looking at different patterns like inflammatory signatures that we're looking at in this specific test. And in your result, we didn't see those typical signatures that we'd see in someone that was highly stressed or, had any sort of issues surrounding trauma or anything like that. Your results were, really good, actually. So I think the mindfulness, the meditation, everything that you're doing is definitely having that effect of bringing down in the cells all of those things like you were talking about, cortisol being switched on. We know that has an impact on our cellular health. We know that in people that are highly stressed and they have cortisol, raging all day, that their biological age is higher. And for you, we don't see those specific type of signatures that we'd usually see. So
there you go.
Yeah. So I think, and it's really interesting that you mentioned earlier that you thought, or there were studies saying that after 8 weeks, people can feel a difference. And in some of the studies where they've looked at what happens to the cells when people meditate, it's exactly the same. After 8 weeks, you can start to see a reduction in inflammation. And also another thing directly linked to aging is something called our telomeres.
Yeah, I know those babies.
Exactly. So they're really important when it comes to aging. They're like little protective caps on the end of our chromosomes. They mean that our cells can continue to divide and repair and replenish things in our bodies, but they get shorter as we get older. And meditation's been shown to lengthen them.
Yeah. It's
really interesting studies looking at the power of your mind and how that actually influences your body.
Okay, well, there you go. There you go. So I'll live how long?
Can't say how long that you're going to live.
Right.
But what we do know is that from your results, you look to have a low inflammatory profile. It certainly doesn't look anything untoward in terms of anything that we're seeing. It looks positive. It looks like the things that you are doing are certainly helping.
Okay.
So, yeah, very positive. And I think it's really interesting because, like you say, it's something like meditation is something that is often forgotten. And actually, it's a very powerful tool for people. But a lot of us just
don't have the time.
Yeah, don't have the time.
Or don't think we have the time.
Yeah. Would you say that, you do about 30 minutes, but for somebody starting off, maybe
2 minutes.
Yeah. Is it
or
just
even
the
one.
consistency is better than
it's
nothing?
It's consistency. And if you forget a day or whatever, then just, forgive yourself. But skiing ain't too much fun to learn, or tennis or piano. Or anything is not fun. But living longer is fun.
Yeah, and healthy. Living longer healthy and happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the traffic warden is approaching my window,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like giving him hell.
Just put your hands in the vaginal area and say CBS.
That's not mindfulness, Ruby Wax.
Sure it is. You thought of it.
Yeah.
You're not getting angry, and everybody goes home happy.
Okay.
He's home worried, right? Because he's asking his wife, can you have a BLT? And she's laughing, so he's upset. But you're already out of range.
Okay. When's the last time you felt rage?
I paid $20 to go to a class, and and the woman didn't show up, and I tried to get my money back.
Yeah.
That killed me.
It wasn't.
I called him the C word really loud.
It wasn't a meditation class, was
Not
it?
at all. No, it was yoga, even worse.
Yoga.
Even worse. But I got over it quicker. You know what I mean? I didn't call my friends and guess what I did. So it settled.
Sure.
Yeah, quickly.
Do you practice breath work alongside the meditation?
No. You are breathing.
Yeah.
So, but to take in, this is really bad for you.
Yeah.
So it's a sham. But yeah.
This is bad?
Yeah. Because you hyperventilate.
This is some breath work in terms that can switch on the vagus nerve.
Yeah, like if when you're breathing. Yeah.
I was just wondering because a lot of people will put meditation alongside some of the breath work with the.
I think you are. I put that in.
Yeah, just naturally.
Take in for 8 and blow out for 6.
Yeah. Because that can be really powerful for the vagus nerve, putting your body in that parasympathetic. And I think what's interesting is like the comparison, and I guess you studied a lot about this, is, when we sleep, if we have good quality sleep, we go into that parasympathetic mode. And you can often see people when they're really in deep meditation drop into that, that same state that you would get in that restorative sleeping state.
Right.
That rest and repair. So it's essentially your body is flipping on the switch that's going, I'm safe. I don't need to be in go mode. I can just do the repair.
Unless you're being chased by a bear.
Or Bill Cosby.
Or Bill Cosby. Very good.
What would you say about Ruby's questionnaire, the rest of it? Was sleep and diet and exercise? How was that profile?
Yeah, I mean, I think...
Do I sleep?
Do you sleep?
Yeah, a lot.
Which helps. And I think from what I remember, your diet was pretty good. You don't really drink.
I can do.
You can, but not,
When I drink, I drink.
But not all the time.
No.
Yeah, okay, yes. I think that's what the questionnaire said. And that's good because it's everything in moderation. And then combined with everything you do in terms of the meditation, the practices, exercise. How's exercise?
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
I don't like it. But you know what I mean? That's why similar to meditation is who wants to do that?
Yeah.
Especially yoga. Oh my God. Tying your ankles in a bow over your head is not my idea of it. And the 17-year-olds around me, I could kill them. But no rage, just mentally.
Is it more difficult to kind of get out there, go to yoga, do these mindfulness practices when you're a celebrity? Like,
nobody recognizes me.
Don't they?
No, because I had my heyday 400 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. But once I get to Nick Rhodes.
Yes, Nick Rhodes.
Yeah, then it'll be back in the driver's seat.
Then they'll say, is that Catherine Ryan?
Yeah.
Did you get that face? Yeah.
Yeah, that's all they do is your model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the more popular ones.
That's the best facelift I've ever seen.
That's kind. But you don't know what it looked like before. It's not like a huge difference. It's mostly the neck.
Yeah, the neck.
If you want to lift the neck, you have to.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, let's get back to the real thing.
Can I ask you, because you've done really well in terms of Nicola's science, what are your attitudes with beauty when it comes to aging? Because you look really glamorous today, really like small and beautiful nails and beautiful fashion and beautiful jewelry. What's your relationship with that? Do you feel
I don't really look like this in real life. Okay. I like to wear my pajamas.
Yeah.
I don't dress up. It's only because I went on this morning. I don't dress up. And I don't go to things where you would dress up. Okay. Because it hurts, especially. It hurts. I don't like wearing tight. I just don't like it.
It hurts.
And I don't wear makeup.
Okay.
Because I don't care.
Because you don't need to with that skin.
No, but when you have to make money, out comes the makeup.
Right.
Out comes the dress.
Yes.
It depends how much you're being paid.
It does.
Maybe one side of mascara if it's not too much. But when it's the big bonanzas, eyeliners.
It's true. Nicola, what would you recommend going forward to keep this biological age down?
I think just keep up everything that you're doing. Obviously, I don't need to tell you about the importance of meditation and the importance of having your mind in the right place. So I think that really is making a difference here. And, you have a busy life, and it's trying to find the time to fit that in consistently, continue with the good sleep.
Yeah.
That's always goes hand in hand.
Are cigarettes out of the question?
They are.
I don't smoke.
You could
Thought
smoke
I'd just throw you it.
pens like your mom.
That's right.
That's breath work.
She lived way into the 90s. Yeah. A lot of breath work, a lot of ink in the lungs.
So you can rewrite your stress signature.
Absolutely. And like I say, I think that's exactly what you've done. Maybe, if we'd measured your biological age when you were much younger and were
That wouldn't be a good number when I was 22.
Yeah, exactly. So it does
See,
show.
I went to school.
You don't just rewire the brain, but it's rewiring what is being wrote on your cells, essentially.
Yeah.
And interestingly, you mentioned epigenetics earlier. So that's the way that we all have the same set of genes in every single cell, but different genes are switched on and off.
Yeah.
And some of that can be inherited from our parents.
Yeah.
But the beauty about epigenetics is it's changeable.
Yeah.
So your genes are set, but epigenetics can change. And again, meditation is something that literally switches different sets of genes on and off. It tends to turn down the bad genes, shall we say, and turn up the good genes, the things that are involved in repair, resilience. So you literally can rewrite yourself at the genetic level.
Not just a face. You can redo your brain. No. But nobody sees it, so who cares?
No need once you've got the face.
No, it's true.
Ruby Wax, thank you so much.
Thank you.
When you attend a Ruby Wax mindfulness retreat, are you actually there?
You mean, am I doing it online?
Do we see you there?
I'm there.
Oh my gosh.
Would you think I called it in?
I don't know. I just didn't expect to. Is it like many millions of pounds to go?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
For me to appear. Otherwise, it's a voiceover.
No hand jobs, though.
No hand jobs, because I don't know.
If you think you're getting a hand job at this retreat,
no,
you've come to the wrong retreat.
Yes, definitely. I'm going to put that in the small print. If you're looking for a hand job, don't bother. That's really good for my career.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was the incomparable Ruby Wax. You can see Ruby Wax on tour with her brand new show, Ruby Wax, Absolutely Famous, or you can actually book a retreat where she apparently appears before you, a full-blown celeb, and you can learn mindfulness, and you can go to rubywax.net for those tickets, which I'm about to do. Please continue to listen to the podcast. What's My Age Again is full of grand and glorious guests, and you can like and subscribe, and please download wherever you get your podcasts.